They say betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from the one you'd never suspect. But what happens when the betrayed never raises his voice? Mark Palmer was the kind of man neighbors in Oak Hollow, Missouri trusted with their house keys when they went on vacation. Quiet, polite, predictable. He wore pressed shirts, waved at the garbage man, and always brought the best bourbon to poker night. People called him dependable, but never dangerous. By fall of 2022, Mark had worked nearly a decade as a forensic accountant at a mid-sized firm in Jefferson City, dealing with embezzlement cases and tracing invisible money through spreadsheets most people wouldn't survive reading. His world was numbers, order, patterns, and loyalty. He lived in a 5-bedroom colonial-style house on Sycamore Lane, complete with a white wraparound porch, flower beds Rachel had designed, and a dog they'd never walked anymore. And Rachel. She was the woman everyone in Oak Hollow secretly envied. 36, a digital marketing manager who worked from home, though she mostly worked from coffee shops and wine bars, always dressed like she was walking into a lifestyle shoot. She smiled for every picture, captioned every dinner, and filled her feed with couple selfies and tagged #PalmerPerfection. But no one ever posts the truth. Because the truth was this: Rachel was cheating, and Mark knew. It started with something small, a hotel key buried inside her Lululemon gym bag when Mark went looking for Advil. Cypress Inn, it read, a boutique hotel off Route 54, the kind that charges by the hour, not the night. Mark knew the place. Everyone in town did. Most people just never admitted it. He stared at the card for a long time, then put it back. No questions, no confrontation, just observation. That night, Rachel laughed at something on her phone during dinner. Mark asked what was funny. She flipped her phone face down and said, "Just memes," then mentioned she had yoga Thursday at noon. Mark nodded. "You've been consistent lately." She smiled, trying to stay centered. She fell asleep. Mark sat in the hallway outside of the bedroom with his laptop. She'd forgotten her iPad still auto-synced to iCloud. Mark wasn't tech-savvy, but he didn't need to be. He'd built careers around noticing what others missed. And the message, preview pane, he caught the end of a deleted text. "Can't wait to fill you again." He didn't blink. He checked her deleted photos. Most were the usual filters, angles, filters again, but one was different. A blurry mirror shot. Rachel in black lace lingerie, taken in their guest bathroom, the one with the crooked mirror Mark had always meant to fix. The next morning, he asked if she wanted coffee. She said no, had a client meeting, kissed him on the cheek like she always did, and he smiled like he always did. But something snapped inside him. Not loud, not violent, not messy. Mark's snap was quiet. It clicked in place, like a loaded gun behind a drawer no one checks anymore. He pulled her Uber history. Thursdays, noon, same drop-off, Cypress Inn. He followed her once, 3 cars behind, watched her meet a man in a Dodge Ram with tinted windows. She didn't see him. She wasn't going to yoga. She was going to him. So, Mark hired a private investigator, a quiet man named Vince who wore a trucker hat, carried a Nikon, and never asked personal questions. 2 weeks later, Mark had a name. Logan Dean, 32, personal trainer. 2 failed gyms, divorced, known for sleeping with clients, not building their abs. Mark sat alone in his home office going through photos. Rachel in a hoodie, sunglasses sliding into Logan's truck, kissing him like she meant it, laughing like she hadn't in years. One photo hit differently. It was from the weekend Mark had been in St. Louis for a 3-day fraud seminar. Logan and Rachel were entering Mark's house. He stared at that image for hours. He noticed the things no one else would. Rachel wore the same scarf she had told him she lost at the farmer's market. Logan's sneakers, ones Mark recognized from the PI's photos, were left by the front door. The hallway Nest cam captured both of them walking into the bedroom. That was his home, his bed, his trust. But there were no fights, no accusations, no cryptic comments. Mark just started smiling more. He cooked dinner, he cleaned the porch, he let her believe he knew nothing. Because what Rachel didn't know was that dinner was already being planned, and the guest list had just one name: Logan Dean. Mark Palmer wasn't interested in revenge, he was interested in control. And control wasn't about yelling or catching them in the act. It was about walking 2 steps ahead, without ever letting them know you're leading. By early October, Mark had watched Rachel lie to his face a dozen times, each one smoother than the last. She was getting confident, careless, maybe even proud of herself. But Mark was playing the long game. He started by learning more about Logan Dean, the man who had taken something that wasn't his. The PI's background check revealed divorced at 29, 2 failed gyms, one in Columbia, one in Springfield. Currently training out of Iron Point Fitness, a basement gym off Route 9. No criminal record, but plenty of whispers online about boundary issues with female clients. Mark didn't judge, he took notes. He created a fake Tinder profile using AI fitness selfies and stock photos. Name: Mia Keller, 24. Nutrition coach. Bio: addicted to dumbbells, iced coffee, and bad decisions. Within 48 hours, Logan matched. Flirty, forward, predictable. After a few chats, Mia ghosted him. Then Mark moved to phase 2. The PI noted Logan spent most Fridays at the Crow's Nest, a downtown whiskey bar filled with neon lights and 2 loud blue covers. Mark showed up in a gray sweater and jeans, carrying a divorce story he'd made up on the drive over. Introduced himself as Eric Anders, a risk analyst going through a rough patch. It took just 20 minutes before Logan started oversharing. Over Blanton's, Logan, half drunk, admitted he was seeing someone's wife. Sounds complicated, Mark said. Logan grinned. He's an accountant or something, boring, clueless. I'm doing her a favor, really. Mark swirled his glass. Clueless guys are the most dangerous. They only look boring, until they're not. Logan laughed. You watch too many thrillers. Mark smiled. You'd be surprised what I watch. A week later, Mark texted him using a burner number. This time, his real name, Mark. Said they'd meet at the Crow's Nest. Had a vintage bottle of bourbon. Wife out of town. Offered steak and drinks. No pressure, the text read. Just 2 guys eating meat and drinking regret. Logan. Sounds like therapy. I'm in. Friday, October 14th, 7:45 p.m. Mark set the table like it was a holiday. 2 ribeyes, 2 crystal tumblers, a $300 bottle of Blanton's, Rachel's unopened anniversary gift, jazz on vinyl, Coltrane's Neymar, slow and haunting, and the final detail. A clear gel beneath Logan's coaster, an untraceable paralytic hospital-grade absorbed through skin, not fatal, just enough to erase control. He sourced it from a 2020 Kansas City fraud case. Hadn't thought he'd ever use it. Until tonight. Mark poured himself a glass and waited. 8:03 p.m. Doorbell. Mark opened it with a practiced smile. Logan stood there, leather jacket, smug grin, cheap bottle of wine. Hope I'm not too early, he said. Mark stepped aside. You're right on time. And just like that, the guest of honor had arrived. Logan Dean walked into the Palmer home like he owned it. He didn't recognize it, not yet, even though he'd once stood in the same kitchen, shirtless, eating cold strawberries from Mark's fridge while Rachel laughed upstairs. He thought he was meeting a new friend. He thought he was safe. Mark took his coat, offered him a drink. Blanton's gold, he said. Only bring this out for special occasions. Logan whistled. Man, this is the good stuff. He picked up the glass, unknowingly pressing his fingers to the clear gel on the coaster. It absorbed through the skin. 15 minutes until onset. They cleaned glasses. Two complicated women, Logan joked. Mark smiled. Two endings. Dinner was served. Perfect ribeye, roasted garlic potatoes, green beans with lemon zest. Everything looked ordinary. But Logan's grip on the fork was already changing. Slightly slower, slightly stiffer. He didn't notice yet. They made small talk about gyms, divorce, bad dates, worse choices. Mark kept him comfortable, like a magician telling jokes while loading the final card into his sleeve. Then it started. Logan rubbed his arms. A weird tingle. He laughed it off. I think the steak's so good it's numbing my fingers. Mark nodded. Could be the bourbon. Stronger than it tastes. Then, casually. So, this married woman you mentioned, what's the story? Logan chuckled. Still curious, huh? I guess I'm just trying to understand what kind of man lets himself get dragged into that kind of mess. Logan smirked. She's worth it. Wild. She said her husband's a ghost, boring, no passion, didn't even notice when she dyed her hair. Mark's smile never cracked. Man, do you believe that? She said he'd never touched her anymore. I figured I was doing her a favor. Mark leaned back, swirling his glass. You know what I do for a living, Logan? No idea. Forensic accountant. I specialize in uncovering lies, and let me tell you, nothing screams lie like a woman who starts going to yoga after 12 years of hating exercise. Logan blinked. A pause. The smirk faded. I'm sorry. What? You said she was married, but you didn't say her name. Mark reached under the table. He pulled out Rachel's silk scarf and placed it gently on the table. Does this look familiar? Logan's eyes widened. What the hell is this? He tried to stand, but his knees buckled. He grabbed the table, missed, collapsed to the floor like a rag doll. Mouth open, breathing fast, eyes wild. What did you do? You're not dying, Mark said calmly. You're just paralyzed. That'll pass, eventually. Logan groaned, twitching, slurring. Mark stood, unbuttoned his cuffs and walked over, calm, steady. He crouched beside Logan, speaking low. You slept with my wife. In my house. You walked past my wedding photos, drink my coffee, wore your shoes on my hardwood floors. Logan's eyes flooded, his hands twitched, but his body wouldn't obey. You didn't just betray me, Logan. You disrespected me. Now I'm going to give you something you never gave me. Clarity. He walked to the bookshelf and removed a small camcorder, pressed record, set it on the floor, lens pointed at Logan's frozen face. Don't worry, he said. She's on her way. I texted her from your phone. Told her you were in trouble. She should be here any minute now. Mark leaned closer, almost whispering. I want to see what happens when the man she thought she was boring stops pretending. 8:48 p.m. The door opens. Rachel Palmer stepped into her own home with a soft hello. She clutched her tote bag, makeup fresh, phone still glowing with the last message from Logan. Emergency. Come now. I need you. Only Logan didn't send it. The house was dimly lit. Dinner plates set out, candles still burned low. Soft jazz played on the record player, the same one Mark had gifted her for their 9th anniversary. Logan? She called again, voice trembling. And then she saw it. Her husband, sitting at the head of the table, and her secret lover, lying on the floor. Mark, what the hell is going on? She ran to Logan, who lay stiff, wide-eyed, barely able to move. Is he drunk? Hurt? What did you do to him? Mark swirled the bourbon in his glass. Don't worry. He's still breathing. He just can't talk, can't move, but he can hear everything. Rachel looked back at him, frozen. What is this? Mark stood slowly. I invited them over for dinner. Thought it was time we all got a little honest, don't you? Rachel backed away. This isn't funny. Call 911, Mark. I already did, he said, pulling his phone from his pocket. They'll be here in about 3 minutes. She moved towards the door. He stepped in front of her. Don't. Sit down. Tears welled in her eyes. You poisoned him. No, I paralyzed him. He'll live. Can't say the same for your version of the truth. He walked to the camcorder on the floor, lifted it and hit playback. Rachel heard Logan's voice, smug, flirty from earlier that night. She said her husband's a ghost, a boring loser. She told me I was the best she ever had. The voice cut to Mark's, calm, detached. You ever wonder what a man looks like right before he snaps? Rachel covered her mouth. Mark turned to her, finally letting it out. You slept with him. Lied to me, brought him into this house, into our bed. And you thought I wouldn't know. She dropped to her knees, shaking. It was a mistake. I didn't mean to. He cut her off. You meant every text, every plan. You looked me in the eye and kissed me after screwing him in the guest room. The room was silent, except for Logan's weak, wet breathing. Then, silence. Mark straightened his shirt collar, stepped towards the door. Before opening it, he looked back one last time. I told them there was an intruder, he said softly, that I walked in on you with a strange man, that I restrained him for everyone's safety. Rachel's eyes widened. They'll never believe that. Mark shrugged. You broke in. You panicked, you were screaming. They'll find his fingerprints on the front doorknob, on your neck if I had to guess, and your phone? Already wiped. Red and blue lights flooded the room as the first officer approached the porch. Mark placed the glass down carefully and walked outside, calm, steady, cooperative. Rachel sat on the floor beside Logan, shaking, tears smudging her mascara. The camera still blinked on the bookshelf. Every lie captured, every betrayal recorded. If that story sent chills down your spine, don't forget to like this video. It helps more crime lovers find our channel. Subscribe to Wicket Crime Stories for more dark, twisted tales that feel just a little too real. And if you think someone you know would lose sleep over this story, share it with them. Because around here, betrayal is just the beginning. New stories drop every week, and trust us, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching. Stay wicked.